Welcome back to another video, everybody. Let me just put on my new glasses so I can actually see. I don't know if any of you guys knew this, but I'm actually really blind. I've got terrible vision. Normally I just wear my contacts, but I just got new glasses and my correct prescription, so I'm wearing my glasses today, just for the lulz, just for the fun. It looks like they actually have a little bit of a blue tint in the camera, but they don't in real life. That actually might be the blue light filter that I got on these, so I don't really know. But today is exciting because we are talking about the new engine that I got for my Turbo Miata. Now I want to start off by apologizing because this is like the second or third motor that I've said I was going to get and install in my Turbo Miata, but like I never actually installed any of them. This time it is for real. I've already purchased the motor, it's mine, it's gonna happen. A little bit of a history. The first motor that I said I was gonna get was a 1.8 BP, so that's the stock motor out of a Miata, but it's out of a later year Miata. It's a 1.8 liter, it's makes 100 horsepower stock. They're decent with boost, but you know, it's still pretty meh. The second motor that I promised was a F-Series, which is an S2000 motor. Those motors are much better stock, they're much better under boost, they're great motors, they can make like 500 horsepower with stock internals reliably. They're just awesome motors. They rev to 9,200 RPMs if you get the AP1 one. Who doesn't want that, right? Well, they're kind of expensive. Buying a motor out of an S2000, the motor and trans alone is like 4 to 5 grand. So why? That's a lot of money. The third motor was a K-Series, because K-Series is kind of like the F-Series. It makes a lot of power, it's a 4-cylinder. With boost, you can make like 500 horsepower on stock internals, but the motor itself is a little cheaper. However, the swap kit for a K-Series is like 7 grand. A motor swap like an F-Series or K-Series, well, that would cost in total, you know, 7 to 8 grand, and it would make about what the car makes right now. The car currently makes 220 wheel horsepower. A K-Series and an F-Series with, you know, like headers and an intake will make around 220 wheel horsepower. So why do I want to spend 8 grand to make the same power? If I spent a little bit more money on a turbo kit for the F-Series or the K-Series, it could make like, you know, 500 horsepower, but then I would be spending like 14, 13 grand on 500 to 400 horsepower. And guess what? The stock motor can make that. The stock motor can make that if I build it. So a couple months ago, I decided, you know what? Screw this, I'm just gonna build the stock motor. I'm gonna build the 1.6. And then Matt came along. Matt is the owner of the awesome 500 horsepower 1.6 Miata, the drag Miata. I made a video on it when I was down in Florida. It's crazy, it's fast. In his car, he has the stock 1.6 that came in the early year Miatas, but it's a fully built motor. It's got pistons, it's got rods, most importantly, a huge ass turbo, which is why it makes 500 horsepower. It just so happens that Matt is now parting out his car to do a new setup this winter. Perfect timing. I don't want to spoil his new setup, but it's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be really awesome. He is shooting for 800 horsepower in a Miata. So that's gonna be incredible. If you want to follow his new build, his new setup, I'll have a link in the description down below so you can do that. But yeah, he's selling his 500 horsepower 1.6, and I wanted to get a built 1.6, so I bought his motor. I bought his 500 horsepower 1.6 liter. The deal's done, I already own it. But before I get it, before I install it, we are going to be doing a little bit of a change. Matt's car and Matt's motor setup, it was awesome for drag racing and it was awesome for straight line stuff. Quite frankly, it is the fastest car I've ever been in, and it was crazy. The way that car pulled was just incredible. However, it was pretty laggy, it had a huge turbo, and it wouldn't be great in a track car because, you know, I'm pretty sure his car hit full boost at like 7,000 RPMs. So with that being said, we are gonna be changing his motor a little bit. We're gonna be keeping the same rods he has. We're gonna be keeping the same, you know, head studs, main studs. They're both ARP. He's got ACL race bearings. He's got a Boundary Engineering upgraded oil pump. So we're keeping all of that. We're just changing the pistons. We're doing a little bit bigger size pistons, and we're doing 12-to-1 compression pistons instead of 9-to-1. If you know anything about building motors, you know that 12-to-1 compression ratio is really, really high. And for boosted motors, you don't usually want to go high compression. You want to go low compression because it prevents knock. It makes it easier to tune. But low compression makes less power. Low compression spools a turbo worse. So that's why I wanted to go with high compression. High compression will make a lot more power. High compression will spool a turbo really quickly. So with the high compression pistons in there, it will be a nice responsive 1.6. My goal of this motor is to have the most responsive 1.6 Turbo Miata pretty much out there. I don't really want to make, 500 horsepower. I want to make like 300 to 400 horsepower, but I want it to spool at like 2,800 RPMs. In order to run that properly, in order to run it safely, I'm gonna have to do E85 only. No pump gas. If I put pump gas in a 12-to-1 compression ratio motor that makes a lot of power, it's just gonna knock and blow up. That's not gonna be good. So we're gonna have to run E85 only. That's not really a problem. I've got an E85 pump right down the road. The motor right now is in Florida, which is another problem. That's like 3,000 miles round trip away. But one good thing is that there is an awesome Miata shop in Florida, Miatas and More. Jace at Miatas and More is going to be rebuilding the motor, putting the new pistons in it, changing the bearings, just making sure everything is good while the motor is down there. So the motor will get built in Florida by an awesome shop, and then when it's done, we can ship it up to here, and we can put it in the car. While the motor is being built, we are going to do a little bit more maintenance on the chassis of my Miata. As you guys saw in the bumper install video, it was a little rusty and a little dented up front from hitting a deer back in the day. So we're gonna take the engine out, we're gonna repaint the engine bay, stock color, but nice and glossy, nice and fresh. We'll do some fabrication, some cleaning up. We'll make it look really nice. When we first install the motor, we are gonna be using the turbo setup that I currently have. This is the one reason why I wanted to stick with a 1.6 instead of going to a 1.8. If I went with a 1.8, I would have to get an entirely new turbo kit. But sticking with a 1.6, I can use the turbo kit I already have. Now the turbo that I have on the car right now is only good for about 300 to 350 horsepower, depending on how it's tuned, depending how efficient it is. There's people here. We'll run the current turbo setup that I have now, and then eventually, once I get comfortable with the power level that it's at, 300 to 320 horsepower, then I will get a bigger turbo, and then etc, etc. I don't want this to be like a single time build where I spend a bunch of money, a bunch of time making the car its final product. I want it to be like a step-by-step build. So we get the built motor, we max out the turbo I have now, we upgrade the turbo, we upgrade the manifold, and we slowly make it better and better, and we see how each of these improvements changes the car, changes the way the motor makes power, etc, etc. I'm really excited for everything. I'm excited to make more power. I'm excited to have a motor that I don't have to worry about. BPs with a built head, a built motor, big turbo can make like 700 horsepower. I'm only gonna be making 300 to 400 horsepower, so this thing's gonna be reliable. The awesome thing is that I'm gonna be spending less money on this entire motor setup than I would have just for a swap kit for a K-Series, or almost for the K-Series itself. I know a lot of you guys were excited for a K-Series or an F-Series, but try to think of it from my point of view. This was the perfect opportunity to make more power for a really awesome price. If I was shooting for like 800 horsepower, a K-Series would have been the way to go, because a built K-Series can make that pretty easily. But I wasn't. I don't want that much power. It's a 2,000 pound car. 800 horsepower is gonna be terrifying. Matt, you're doing 800 horsepower in your car. That's gonna be terrifying. It would only work in a drag car. It would not work in a track car. That would be crazy. With my power goal, a BP stock motor, but built, is the way to go, and I'm so excited for it. It's gonna be awesome. The motor is gonna get here sometime early January, most likely. I have a friend who lives down in Florida who's gonna be driving it up for me, but I'm hoping to have the car and the chassis completely ready by then. So, maybe late December, we'll start tearing the car down. We'll start, prepping the engine bay to get repainted, and then that will all be ready. The motor will come, we'll drop the motor in, bolt the turbo kit on, and it'll be good. Right out of the box, we'll be running with the stock transmission, the 5-speed. We'll probably blow that up relatively quickly. We'll go with the 6-speed, and the 6-speed should hopefully be strong enough to hold the power that I'm looking to go. If you guys do want to help this happen more smoothly, I would really appreciate it if you go check out my Patreon. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me on Patreon. It really, really does help so much, so that's awesome. When all is said and done, I'm pretty confident that I will have the best Miata, the cleanest, the best all-around Miata on YouTube, and I will be willing to put it head-to-head with any Miata on YouTube. I think it's gonna be so fun if sometime next season, spring, summer, we can get a bunch of Miata YouTubers together and have a track battle and watch them all fall to the power and might of Molly. I don't know if that will actually happen, but it'll be fun either way. I've always wanted to have a little bit of a rivalry with some channel somewhere. Gingium's highest horsepower car is Molly, which makes 200 horsepower. So Gingium can't really compete until now. Gingium will compete. Gingium will show everyone who's boss. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited too. The other thing that Matt did send me when I bought his motor was new motor mounts. So we have new motor mounts. We are going to be installing those in the next video. Upgrade motor mounts will help shifting, will help make the car behave a little bit better. We will install that in the next video. And then I have some new vinyl for the Molly, for Molly, new side stripes, window banner, some other cool stuff. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to have this 500 horsepower. Well, I shouldn't call it that anymore because it won't make 500 horsepower. I can't wait to have this built motor for Molly. Thank you again so much to Matt for this amazing opportunity. Perfect timing, perfect everything. A little update around the shop. Truck is waiting to be wired up. That's still gonna happen, but we're gonna be doing a standalone, hopefully. A lot of you guys were confused about this in the last video. If you remember, I bought this Miata originally for the front suspension for the truck. I only ended up using the steering rack. So I gave the Miata to Pasha, and then we decided to turn it into a drift cart using the truck's old motor, which this is the block, the old block from the truck, and I have like the pistons, the crankshaft, and the camshaft, all that stuff over there. We're gonna be rebuilding the motor, putting it in here, because we have everything for it, and this will be a little drift cart. If you wanna watch videos on this build, there might be updates in my videos, but if you wanna watch the full videos, go check out Pasha's channel. I'll have a link in the description down below. We will eventually be starting the rebuild of the interior of the bus, but now I have to save up for rebuilding the bus and rebuilding Matt's motor. So, I don't know how that's gonna go. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed, dislike the video if you didn't enjoy. Like the video if you're excited. That's what you should do. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'm excited for this build. Hopefully you are too. And I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye-bye.